The cafeteria buzzed like always. Forks scraped against trays. Sneakers squeaked on linoleum. Laughter bounced off the walls like rubber balls. But in the corner, by the emergency exit, near the vending machine, there was stillness. That's where Layla sat. 14. Black. Small for her age. Quiet, too quiet for this school. Always in a hoodie, always with a book. She never raised her voice. Never started trouble. She just stayed in her space and let the noise pass by. Most kids left her alone. But not Savannah. Savannah Monroe was the kind of girl who didn't walk through school, she glided. Tall. Blonde. Loud. A cheerleader since middle school. Her father sat on the school board. Her mother ran the local tennis club. She knew everyone. And more importantly, everyone knew her. That day, Savannah made her entrance like she always did, center of attention, laughing loud, flipping her hair, her little clique trailing behind like perfume. Then she saw Layla. Sitting alone. Like always. Savannah's smile turned. Not curious. Not kind. Something else. She strutted straight over, heels clicking louder than the cafeteria buzz. Slammed her tray down across from Layla and tilted her head. Well, look who's still pretending she belongs, Savannah said, voice sharp and sugary. Didn't anyone tell you this table's for actual students? Not charity projects. Layla didn't lift her head. Just turned the page of her book. Savannah raised an eyebrow. What is that? A sob story? Or something to help you feel special? No answer. One of Savannah's friends giggled behind her hand. Another whispered something about that attitude. Savannah rolled her eyes. You really think you're better than the rest of us? Just because some random celebrity took pity on you? That made Layla pause. Not flinch. Not look away. Just pause. Savannah leaned closer. What's the matter? Foster daddy didn't teach you manners? Layla slowly closed her book. Her face calm. Eyes unreadable. I don't think you understand who you're talking to, she said quietly. Savannah laughed, loud and fake. Oh, I know exactly who you are, she said. Some nobody who got lucky. And then, she grabbed Layla's tray. Mac and cheese. Milk carton. Apple slices. Flipped it all into her lap. The cafeteria fell silent. Layla didn't scream. Didn't cry. She stood up. Slowly. Steady. Milk dripped from her sleeves. Her book hit the floor, pages soaked. Savannah crossed her arms. Smirking. You gonna cry now? Layla met her eyes. No, she said. But you might. Her voice was low. Controlled. Dead serious. And for the first time, Savannah blinked. Just for a second. Because in that moment, in that silence, something shifted. Something told everyone watching. This girl wasn't who they thought she was. Not even close. Layla walked out of the cafeteria, shoes squishing with each step. No one followed her. No teacher stopped Savannah. No student spoke up. She passed the main office, headed straight for the girls' restroom by the gym, and locked herself in the far stall. Water ran from the faucet outside, but she didn't move. Just stood there in silence, arms stiff, hoodie soaked in dairy and cheap cheese. Behind the silence, behind the calm, there was a storm. Not anger. Something colder. Outside the stall, someone pushed the door open. Footsteps. Loud. Confident. Seriously? Hiding in the bathroom now? Savannah's voice echoed off the tiles. You really are pathetic. Layla didn't answer. Savannah tapped on the stall. You think you're special just 'cause you moved here in some blacked-out Escalade and live in that rich neighborhood now? Still no answer. Savannah snorted. Please. Everyone knows your little fairy tale won't last. You're just another charity case with a good lawyer. Layla opened the stall door. Savannah froze. Just for a second. Because Layla wasn't crying. Wasn't trembling. She stepped forward slowly, milk stains still fresh on her hoodie, her eyes steady. "Leave me alone," she said, voice quiet but firm. Savannah scoffed. "Or what? You'll tell your foster dad? What's he gonna do, tweet about it?" That was when the door swung open again. Coach Bryant. The only black faculty member in the school. Ex-military. Broad-shouldered. Quiet but respected. He looked between the two girls and raised an eyebrow. "What's going on here?" he asked. Savannah didn't flinch. She straightened up and folded her arms. "Just trying to help Layla clean up. She made a mess in the cafeteria." Coach Bryant turned to Layla. His voice softened. "You all right?" Layla nodded, but she didn't speak. Coach glanced at her hoodie, the ruined book in her hand, the milk still dripping from her cuffs. Then he turned back to Savannah. "Go to class?" he said flatly. Savannah blinked. "What? But," I said now. She huffed, rolled her eyes, and stormed out. Coach Bryant watched her leave, then looked back at Layla. "You want me to report this?" he asked. Layla shook her head. He didn't push. Just nodded and said, "You let me know if that changes." By fifth period, the story had twisted. Savannah told everyone that Layla had snapped in the cafeteria. That she flipped her own tray and started yelling. By sixth period, the rumor spread that Layla shoved someone. By the end of the day, Layla got called to the principal's office. Mr. Hardwick sat behind his polished desk. Late 50s. White. Sweaty hands folded on top of a stack of paper. He didn't offer her a seat. "Layla," he said in that voice people use when they've already made up their minds, "I've received multiple reports that you were aggressive today in the cafeteria." Layla stood silent. "I understand high school can be overwhelming," he continued, "especially for students with your background." Layla's eyebrow twitched. "With my what?" He cleared his throat. "I mean, given your transition. It's important that you integrate smoothly. Now, I'm not punishing you today. But consider this a formal warning." "A warning?" she said. He nodded. "One more incident, and we'll have to take disciplinary action. Maybe even reevaluate your enrollment." Her fingers curled into fists. "You believe her?" Layla said quietly. Hardwick shrugged. "Savannah's been a student here for years. Never had a single complaint." Layla stepped forward. "And I've been here 6 weeks. Long enough to be targeted." He looked uncomfortable. "Let's just keep things calm, okay?" Layla said nothing. But inside, the storm began to rise again. Because if the system wasn't going to protect her, then maybe it was time she stopped staying quiet. Maybe it was time the school remembered exactly who she was. The next morning, Layla walked into school with her hood up again. This time, not by choice. Someone had posted a photo. A blurry snapshot of her standing with food spilled all over her, captioned, "When the trash takes itself out." By noon, it had been shared over 100 times. In group chats. On Snapchat. Even one teacher was caught whispering about the incident. And Savannah? She walked the halls like a queen. As if nothing had happened. As if she'd won. In history class, she even turned around and winked at Layla across the room. Like it was a game. Like this was fun. Layla didn't blink. Didn't flinch. But deep inside, something cracked. After school, she stayed behind. Walked the halls alone. Past the lockers. Past the gym. Past the trophy case filled with smiling white faces. She sat on the bleachers. The gym lights off. Coach Bryant found her there. He didn't say anything right away. Just sat beside her. Let the silence breathe. Finally, he spoke. "It's okay to be angry." Layla didn't look up. "I'm not angry," she said. "I'm tired." Coach nodded slowly. "They're trying to wear you down. Make you disappear." Layla stared ahead. "It's working." "No," he said firmly. "It's not." She turned toward him. For the first time, There were tears in her eyes. But no one believes me. Coach stood, reached into his jacket, handed her something. A flash drive. What's this? He smiled. Security camera footage. Cafeteria. Yesterday. Clear angle. Everything. Layla stared at it. Shocked. He tapped the bleachers. You didn't ask for help. But you have it. She gripped the drive tightly. But even with that proof, things got worse. The next morning, as she walked into school, the intercom buzzed. Layla Brooks to the main office. Again. This time, both Principal Hardwick and the superintendent were waiting. The vibe was different. Colder. Hardwick didn't look up from his papers. The superintendent, Mrs. Fenwick, spoke instead. Layla, there's been a complaint. Layla raised an eyebrow. Another one? This time from Savannah's parents, Fenwick said. They're claiming you have been harassing their daughter. Layla almost laughed. But the room was ice. They also mentioned you were seen with a weapon on school grounds. Her eyes widened. What? A silver object, Fenwick said carefully. Seen near your locker. Possibly a blade. That's a lie. We don't take threats lightly, Hardwick added. We've contacted the school board and, pending investigation, you are hereby suspended. Layla's ears rang. Suspended? She hadn't even raised her voice. I want to call my guardian, she said sharply. Hardwick chuckled. You mean your celebrity foster parent? He's not listed as your legal rep in our system. Layla stared him down. You really don't know, do you? Excuse me? He blinked. She stepped closer. No one's ever told you who adopted me. Hardwick's face twisted in confusion. Fenwick squinted. But before either could respond, the front office door slammed open. Footsteps. Heavy. Purposeful. A man in a leather jacket, sunglasses still on, walked in. Everyone froze. One of the front desk ladies gasped. Layla turned around. And smiled. Because standing in that office, arms crossed, jaw clenched, was Vin Diesel. He didn't say a word at first. Just looked at Hardwick. Then at Fenwick. Then at Layla. And finally, he took off his glasses. You suspended my daughter? He asked, voice deep, low, dangerous. Hardwick stammered. Mr. Diesel, sir, I wasn't informed. Then raised a hand. Silence. She's a minor. You didn't call me. You accused her. You humiliated her. Over rumors. Fenwick cleared her throat. There were allegations. Unfounded. Then cut her off. And Coach Bryant already gave us the camera footage. Hardwick paled. Your school, Ben said slowly, let a student pour milk and food on my daughter. Publicly. Mock her. Threaten her. And she's the one getting punished? Fenwick stepped back. Hardwick looked like he might faint. Then turned to Layla. You good? She nodded. He looked back at the administrators. Fix this. Now. No one moved. So he added, or I will. 3 words. Soft. Measured. Lethal. And just like that, the power in the room shifted. Silence stretched across the office like a taut wire. Then Vin Diesel took out his phone. Tapped once. Put it on speaker. The line rang twice, then a calm voice answered. LAPD, Chief Owens speaking. Hey Owens. It's Dom. Vin? Everything all right? No, Vin said. We've got a situation. School administration. False accusations. Suspension without guardian contact. Racial bias. You know the drill. There was a pause on the other end. Then, give me 10 minutes. He hung up. Layla glanced sideways. Hardwick looked like he'd swallowed gravel. Fenwick suddenly became very interested in her clipboard. But Vin wasn't done. He placed a folder on the desk. A thin, black folder. Inside is Layla's full legal documentation, he said. Adoption papers. Custody authorization. Emergency contact. Legal rights. Signed, sealed, notarized. Filed through the Los Angeles County Family Court System. He looked directly at Principal Hardwick. You know what happens when a school violates custody protocol on a minor in state care? Hardwick didn't answer. Vin leaned in. They lose funding. They face civil penalties. And if the student's guardian happens to have a legal team the size of a studio lot, things get ugly. Fenwick opened the folder, eyes wide. I wasn't made aware of any of this, she said quietly. Then maybe you shouldn't be superintendent, Vin replied. Just then, Coach Bryant walked in with a USB in hand. He nodded at Layla, then turned to Vin. This is the full cafeteria footage. Angle from the south camera. Shows Savannah dumping the tray. Shows Layla staying calm. He set it next to the folder. And just for fun, he added, I pulled the hallway camera too. Guess what? The so-called weapon was a silver ruler. Savannah planted it behind Layla's locker. Layla blinked. Vin's jaw clenched. Of course she did. Coach glanced at Fenwick. So, still gonna call her a threat? Fenwick turned red. Hardwick started muttering something about miscommunication. Vin cut him off. She's not the threat. You are. At that moment, Layla stepped forward. Everyone turned. Her voice was steady. She looked at Principal Hardwick and said, You didn't believe me. You didn't ask questions. You just listened to her, because she was blonde, and loud, and connected. He opened his mouth, but Layla held up a hand. No. You don't get to talk yet. The room fell still. Vin smiled, just a little. Layla turned to Fenwick. I came here to learn. To grow. I didn't come here to fight. But you made me fight. And now that I'm standing, you all finally start listening? Fenwick looked down. Layla continued. You thought I was alone. That I was weak. That I didn't matter. She glanced at Vin. Then back at them. But you forgot to ask the one question that changes everything. Everyone stared. Layla leaned forward. Who's got my back? 5 minutes later, the district attorney's office called. 10 minutes after that, a black SUV pulled into the school parking lot. Inside? 2 attorneys. 1 civil rights investigator. And Layla's adoption case manager. By the end of the day, Savannah was suspended indefinitely. An official investigation was launched into Hardwick's conduct. The school board issued a public apology. And Layla? She walked out of that building, not with her hood up, but head high, bag over one shoulder, Vin by her side. As they reached the car, Vin opened the door for her. Before she got in, she turned and looked at the crowd gathering across the lot, students, staff, parents. Some whispering. Some wide-eyed. Some clapping. Layla gave a single nod. She didn't need revenge. She didn't need to scream. She just needed to be seen. And now, she was. 2 weeks later, the school held a mandatory assembly. All students. All teachers. Full attendance. The gymnasium was packed. Principal Hardwick wasn't there. Neither was Savannah. Word had gotten around fast. Hardwick was under administrative review. Savannah's parents had withdrawn her. For her own safety. And rumors swirled that a civil rights suit was coming, with Layla's name on the paperwork. At center court, the superintendent stepped forward. Her voice was tight, controlled. As an institution, she said, we must acknowledge when we fail to protect our students. Recent events have brought to light serious lapses in protocol and in judgment. No one clapped. She cleared her throat. We will be reviewing staff conduct, updating our response procedures, and implementing new equity training for all faculty and students. Still, no applause. Because everyone in that gym knew. This wasn't about a system. This was about a girl. And then, Layla stepped onto the court. Microphone in hand. No hoodie. No fear. Just her. And silence. until she spoke. I didn't ask to be the center of this, she said. I didn't want the spotlight. But when someone pours food on you in front of the whole school, and nothing happens, you learn something. She paused. You learn who people really are. Her voice didn't shake. I was called names. I was mocked. I was suspended for something I didn't do. And the worst part? None of that surprised me. Gasps. Murmurs. But what did surprise me, she continued, was how fast things changed when the right name walked into the room. She looked out over the crowd. You shouldn't need to have a famous father to be treated like a human being. The room fell still. You shouldn't have to prove your worth, or explain your background, or fight just to be believed. She raised her chin. I'm not just someone's daughter. I'm not a news story. I'm a student. And I belong here, just like anyone else. For a second, no one moved. Then, one clap. Then two. Then the gym erupted. Not polite claps. Not forced. Real. Powerful. Loud. Because they didn't just see Layla now. They heard her. Later that week, Vin picked her up after class. She climbed into the car, tossed her bag in the back. He looked over. You did good, kid. She shrugged, half smiling. You sure I didn't scare the whole school? Vin chuckled. Good. Let him be scared. Then his voice softened. But more important, you made him listen. She nodded. Looked out the window. Feels like something changed. He pulled out of the lot. Not just something, he said. Everything. As they drove off, a group of younger students waved. Layla waved back. Because now, when she walked through those halls, she wasn't invisible. She wasn't alone. She was the girl who stood her ground. The girl who didn't break. The girl they tried to silence. But who spoke louder than ever. Savannah thought she was untouchable. She thought she could humiliate a girl without consequence. She thought she knew who she was messing with. She thought wrong.